How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Q&A. Today we have a bit of a special as we'll be switching from questions to displaying Modash demonstrating the new trading post. But aside from that, let's get into introductions. Okay, so we have Mod Matt K.
Hi.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod John C.
What's up?
Mod Reach.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. All right, first question. This one's from Captain Evans. Can you fix it so that Iron Man can visit someone else's player-owned house without gaining any benefits?
We spoke about that before it happened, didn't we?
We looked at all the various benefits that they could try and gain in there and figured that we were not confident we could override them all safely or reliably, so we thought it was best if we just carved out the whole house rather than find an exploit 6 months down the line.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Second question is from Autumn Elegy RS. Can you pull adding back the old Prayer Restore ability to full penance gear? And what about the Scepter of Gods?
Well, we wouldn't have taken it away. When was it added, do you know?
2010, 2009, around that period, yeah.
Not 2007.
Well, we could certainly put things like that in, preferably unlocked in some way rather than just giving free bonuses out of the blue. I'd be up for it, if it'd be popular.
Okay. Another thing to touch on, if you guys could, we're going to be keeping note of the bigger questions, the ones that you guys definitely want to have followed up on, and we can touch back on those maybe next week or at the end of the stream, just to see where they go. So this one's from Shiba RS07. Can something that shows your opponent's inventory spaces be implemented into the duel arena?
The trade system has one, therefore the duel arena can have one.
Okay. I think the only concern there is scammers.
I imagine it'd be that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Also, if you're offering more stuff than your opponent's going to be able to handle, then you might want to know about it up front before it cancels the duel on you.
That's true. All right, definitely a possibility. This one's from Against321. So how exactly does this week's survey work?
Okay, so the survey is, well, the primary thing is for us to understand how you feel. It's not a binding thing or anything else, so it doesn't have to reach a percentage for something to happen. We're using sort of the information from you and how you feel about something to decide what to do in the next stages of all those 5 issues. Also, we've already collected all the information about how all you guys have voted and how each individual account has voted, so we can start looking at what different sorts of people have voted and what sort of different ways are the maxed combat people voting in a different way to people with don't have maxed combat, are people making brand new accounts, getting 280 level and voting in a certain way, and we'll look at all that and try and decide what the best thing to do is, then come back to you with that. I mean, looking at things now, what we can definitely say is that there is no overall feeling from the community to do something specific with those issues, so it's not a particularly easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But we will be looking at other things. I know there's some changes we're going to make, which we'll probably talk about more next week. But yeah, don't know yet is the bottom line.
Okay. So the next big controversial topic, we need to address the fact that commission stakers are paying people to vote for them on that poll.
Yeah, no, we know that, and we'll take it into account. I mean, actually, we were talking about how we could track exactly what happened, and what we can do is take all the names of everybody that voted, drop them into our trade track system, and then we can just see who's been trading with who, and it should be quite easy to identify those people. And then we'll be able to pull those people out of the vote and see what the result is after that's been done. So, yes, it's not a problem for us to deal with that. It's easy. In fact, one of the things I was talking about earlier was taking the database of how everybody voted and their levels, taking all the account names out of it and then putting it out publicly. If we can get away with that, I think we might need to do that. I have to have a chat with the legal team and make sure we're not breaking any rules about privacy and stuff. But if we can do that, we'll get the database out to you so you can interrogate the data and look at what you want and see how different levels compare with different things. Cool. So quite happy to be open about the results about it, no problem.
Yeah, they should be pretty satisfied with that. All right, so this one's from OsteoSRS, and he asks for the ability to be able to tell what percentage your cat's growth and health are at. This is a very...
If we had a sort of follower side screen like Summoning gave us, then there'd be somewhere to write these things.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to mess with the game frame to introduce a screen like that, especially if there aren't that many uses for it. But it would be a place to put the call button they've occasionally talked about.
Yeah, same thing for boss pets.
Indeed, that's what I want it for. So if we can agree on where to put the thing, then we can display the information. If on the other hand they just want it to be an extra op on the cat, then more disappointing, but we could.
Fair enough. There you go. All right, this one's from Sam from RS. Can we expect to see Jad pets in Fight Cave Slayer tasks anytime soon?
I think we talked about those as part of our Slayer update of 2015,
Yes,
which
yeah.
I can't remember when we were thinking about doing.
Springish, maybe.
Springish.
Or maybe
Springish.
around Easter.
We want to
hopefully.
start polling it fairly early in the year for
Yeah.
delivery, depending on how big it is and
Yeah.
what passes the poll, sometime after that.
So next year.
All right. Spring's not too far away, actually. It's scary. So this is from Chris Lawson. Will we ever expect to see another location for the Red Dragons?
Yeah, I'd love to add another one, seeing as we took one away. We think we talked about putting some in Neve's Cave.
That was talked about because they are a Slayer task and they're not a very common one as far as I can tell. And sticking him down Neve's Passage is a good, plenty of room for expansion there.
It does mean you need a Slayer task to kill them, though. We could always expand the area at Karamja.
Well, the thing is, it's a lot easier to get into Neve's Cave than it is to go down to Brimhaven if you were on a Slayer task. You probably would go to Neve's Cave for preference just because it's not got an entry fee, doesn't require you to bring a hatchet, and isn't a blinking labyrinth.
True. Well, there'll be a nice shortcut there soon, hopefully.
Oh, we're doing that.
I thought you've got to put one there if I can put one anywhere.
Okay, yeah,
I'd agree with that.
There you go. Would be cool to see them become more relevant. I don't think I've ever actually killed one. Never had the necessity to.
no, nor have I.
There you go. All right, next question. RS Gauze asks, can we get back to flashing skills when you've leveled up?
Was
Again,
that get rid of or get what?
get back.
Did I say get rid of? Get back.
Yeah,
I may have misheard.
So,
I'd be up for that. It would mean that level up messages could be a lot easier to handle because at the moment, you know, it brings up the you've leveled up. Then if you click continue, it says you can now do such and such. If on the other hand you're in combat because you just leveled up combat something, then you probably didn't see that message because it's shut and you can't get it back again.
yeah.
So having the information displayed later is definitely a good way to go.
yeah, be up for that.
It will not be a small job, but you're rather good at that kind of fiddly thing where you have to be accurate.
Yeah, I'm quite good with the skill guides. I've been fiddling with them a lot recently as well.
Might even be possible to make it generate itself out the skill guide data. That would be really nice. Because then we wouldn't have two things to update whenever we add a new thing.
Yeah, because there's level up message in a separate area. Yeah, we should do that.
Cool. I'm completely for the whole, I don't know, increase in the sense of accomplishment when you get a level.
And
I
I'm
like
in
it.
favour of getting rid of the horrible level up system as it currently is.
Yeah. All right. This one's from Soggy Toast, and he asks, when can we expect clan chats, and what time in 2015, I imagine?
Well, we always assumed it would be a fairly big thing for the engine, and we've had him busy on other things so far, so he hasn't started yet. So that makes it look like for 2015, that's what we want then.
Yeah.
Of course, we might want a lot of other things from him instead.
Yeah, definitely not on the top priority, though.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. This one's from Tover Gasj. What level requirements might we expect should we partake in the new achievement diaries, as well as Zaya?
Do you want to take Continent first?
I haven't fully nailed those down yet. Development hasn't gone ahead until I've gotten things like the achievement diary system out of the way. That starts in early next year. I shall communicate more of those when I have a rough idea of what is to be expected. That's
Yeah.
all I have really for the continent so far.
Right.
We want it
So-
to be as accessible as
Yes,
possible, though.
it's going to be similar to the current land space. So it's going to be pure friendly as well as level 3 skiller friendly as well as high level PvP and PvM friendly. So it's going to cater for every class of player. You're not going to find that this is exclusively a high level area or exclusively a low level area. It's going to cater for every class of player. But I haven't really nailed down any specifics just yet.
Yeah, there seem to be quite a few people who expressed high interest in wanting a high level skill area only. People that are higher level.
That's definitely achievable.
Yeah.
I think we have to broaden the training aspects of nearly all the skills that are currently available to us, because what else are you going to do with the land space? We're going to have to branch out and have new training areas
Right.
that can be accessible to low levels exclusively, high levels exclusively, or just everybody in general.
An area exclusively available to low levels would be interesting.
Well, I think our early user game isn't the most thrilling experience.
This
I
is
think
true.
it's there's an awful lot more to do at the higher end. It's also easier to level at the higher end game than it is to your early playing days. So I think it's to put more content in around that area is quite important for us, which I can achieve quite easily on a new continent.
Certainly, if you look at what you can first unlock in woodcutting and mining, you start at level 1 with the basic thing, and then at level 10 or thereabouts, you unlock something It's limestone for mining, which is NAF all use, and it's a members feature anyway. And then for woodcutting, I think it's certain types of jungle in the Taiwo One-Eye village, like heck you're going there.
So we can certainly expand the range of early game experience areas, rewards, skills, locations and all that.
Okay.
That's something I'd like to do.
Like a noob-only zone?
Kind of.
Dan's daycare? All right, so achievement diaries?
Yeah, achievement diaries will follow the same sort of pattern they had in RS3, so easy tasks will have little requirements, maybe up to like level 20. Medium, we start incorporating some quest requirements up to about 50 or 60 depending on the skill. Hards, 70, 75 with a lot of quest requirements, and elites all the way up to 99. I think I have one 99 requirement done so far. Well, it doesn't matter which one you've got.
Yes, I've seen a few 90s come through on your list of things I need to plug in, which are quite painful.
I took one down today. I had 95 runecraft, but I found some other high-level content in the area, so that was nice. I'll probably release a block of the max requirements you'll need for everything before they get released.
Excellent. To look forward to that. There you go, guys. Get training.
I've had a lot of requests for the skill requirements so far.
Well, basically, to complete all the elite diaries on release, you might as well be maxed with a quest cape.
It's a horrible, horrible maximum baseline.
Maybe 92 base with a couple of 99s would cover it, but yeah, pretty much maxed. It's elite level content.
Alrighty then. This one's from Plate Legs, and he asks for an icon or notification to let you know when you've casted Vengeance or when you need to again. So there's something similar on Orion.
I think he asked me for that on Twitter as well. I'm
Yeah.
up for it. Where's he want it put?
That's the thing.
It could be a nice little temporary overlay.
There can be something that just pops up, like when you're trying to
Counts down until it runs out.
what do they call it? Dragonfire potions. When they're about to expire, a message pops up, doesn't it?
Yes, although it wouldn't be on screen very often when you're looking at it, which might not be so useful for being able to see at a glance whether you've got the thing active. We could put something on the Magic Spellbook interface, although it's, I don't know if that's what he'd like.
I'm totally for that idea. I like it.
Yeah.
All in all, we can do it. We'll need to know where you'd like it put.
All right, there you go. So this one's from AJOSRS, and he asks, will the Enchanted Water Tiara be one of the rewards for the new Desert Achievement Diaries?
Planning to, yeah.
Is that going to be the one that gives you the headgear then?
No, it's not. It would just be like an additional reward.
Okay.
I could tie it into the amulet. I've not actually written that diary yet.
There you go.
A feature that's all similar to the brain is gone.
Neither of us can
Yeah,
speak right now.
the Enchanted Water Tiara or something similar will come from the Desert Diary, hopefully.
I like that the thing ate water runes. It doesn't have to be a water tiara, of course, because the water altar isn't exactly in the desert anyway.
Right. There you go. Pretty solid, yeah, for that one. This one's from Alice Sanoris. Can you make it so that left-clicking the farming patch automatically rakes it?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Another solid yes.
we'll have some fun testing that.
It's nice.
I will. And I'm fine with farming barbits.
And while we're about it, we can do dig for when you're clearing a stump and
Clear,
some of the
cut,
other
et
things.
cetera, yeah.
Not sure whether we can do pruning a tree that's got disease. We'll see what we can do about that.
He's got another good farming question here. This one's for the possibility of wieldable tools. Example being a hammer or a spade or a rake.
So to do that, anywhere in the game that's checking your inventory for a hammer or spade or whatever would have to be updated to also check your worn slots.
Right.
Which is not complicated. There's just a heck of a lot of places it needs to be done because there's a lot of code in the game that uses a hammer.
Okay.
I actually did it before when other RuneScape introduced its golden hammer.
2011.
Yeah. And yeah, I had to go through quite a lot of places to install checks for hammers in either inventory. Can be done. Not something I'd do in a few minutes.
Right.
But if there was a strong enough reason and we had a nice fancy hammer maybe,
Yeah.
then we could do that.
It's really just to save an inventory space, isn't it? Like,
Presumably, yeah.
I would assume they wouldn't have any stats. The hammer would be a pretty cool PK tool, but it would probably be useless.
It's similar to having a tool belt, effectively.
Alrighty then. This one's from Jacko Blogs, and he asks for more viable equipment to be worn by players with 10 defense. There was a couple questions asking for more low defense requirement equipment, similar to like Slayer stuff.
Have
like
we
a
ever got
Black Mask or
anything
anything.
through a poll where we pitched it with low defense requirements?
No. I've always wanted to do, from day one, is to do pure specific armour, so there's a maximum combat requirement rather than a minimum. So if you go past 20 defence, you can't wear it anymore.
Ooh.
I'd love to do that,
Interesting.
but the community don't agree, or they didn't agree in the past. They may have changed things somewhat, but I think that would be really quite a cool thing to do. And then you can have specific builds for specific pures,
Yeah.
and it would be quite a cool thing to do.
We were talking about some pure equipment coming with last week. The Elemental Workshop 3 came with some. What was it, the body or something? Body. Alrighty then. What do you guys think? Pure only equipment? You have to have? That's looking like a no automatically. Never mind.
Like I say,
Yeah.
whenever we've pitched anything designed for pures or to help pures or to let pures do something, it goes down in flames.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
shame.
It
You
is a
guys need
shame,
to go
but
create a pure.
well, I suppose we could do a straw poll. I guess we haven't done one yet today, and it's been almost 20 minutes.
So, do they hate pures? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
So something about should we make pure specific items?
Okay, I think we'll do one more question, look at that poll, and then maybe we'll throw Ash over on the trading
With how
post.
bad this
I was
will
enjoying
be.
myself, but carry on. Yeah.
Okay. So this one's from Transfer Life. Will you be taking our input into the design of the Achievement Diary rewards, or are you going to make them similar to how they were upon original release?
Both. I've already been collecting, excuse me, ideas from that have been posted on the thread that was asking for tasks. So I've kind of told people to post there, a few tweets, etc. But most of the existing ones that existed in RS3 up to about 2010 will match sort of similar behaviour. Obviously, we miss a lot of the content they had between now and then,
Right.
but items will look the same. I mean, we've got most of Varric Diary already, for example. I want the Falador shields back as well. They looked awesome.
It did.
Yeah.
I think there's been quite a big sentiment coming from players that they want some of the specific rewards back.
Yeah,
The
RD
RD
comes to
cloak,
mind. Yeah.
Edgeville Furnace is
Yes.
a very popular thing.
So I think-
Varric will pretty much match what it did. Elite rewards will be a bit different because Elite came 2010, I
After
think.
the Chaos Tunnels existed.
Yeah, which makes finding tasks for some areas really fun. We
Okay.
don't have skills like summoning.
So that's a solid yes then, but definitely open to your options as well. So be sure to. Where can they send you?
Just post them on the Achievement Diary task idea thread. I'll rename it later. It's in Old School Feedback Forum, or just send me a tweet.
On the forums or through Twitter. Alrighty then.
I'm sure Ronan can find a thread and put it in the chat.
Should we
Roland's
look
over
that
there,
poll
by the
then?
way.
Yeah, he's
You guys want to throw that poll up? So let's see what you guys thought of pure only equipment. And there's some yeses
Whoa,
in there.
check
All
that
right.
out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
that's a bit of a shot. I didn't expect that.
What's that? 60%? That's
Hey. It's
Bro-
better than it does when we poll them.
Yes,
we're making progress.
it's true.
Makes you wonder about that.
Yeah. 60% yes.
Alrighty then. Are we
I think
good
with
to?
with the continued growth of PKing recently, I think more and more people have grown to either respect pures, accept pures, or create pures. So it's not out of the question that a lot of the people voting yes in this case, who would have otherwise voted no, have either started PKing again, come back to start PKing, or have a pure account.
Maybe we should be looking at upgrading the drops from the bosses in the wilderness, maybe with pure stuff, or even into the bounty hunter shop.
We'll do a bit of both.
Bounty hunter shot would be a good idea.
I'd write some designs for that because there's less things to devalue when they're capped at 20
Yeah,
defence.
absolutely.
And I'd be glad to put more in the Bounty Hunter shop that isn't a cosmetic upgrade, because we've done a lot of those.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I think that we're oversaturating a little bit with that shop with upgrades, especially,
Yeah.
especially when people want to PK for profit, not PK to look good.
It's getting hard to find things on the interface too. We can probably design something smarter if we ever have a chance.
I've been meaning to
Like,
rearrange
sure.
that actually.
Yeah.
What's the order of things in the shop to make it look a bit nicer.
Yeah.
We could categorise them. We could think of something. We've got an artist these days.
True.
Alrighty then.
Art stuff.
But yeah, so anybody voting no to that, if you haven't given it a shot, make a pure. It's fun. All right. A final note.
First
so
2 weeks are free as well.
First 2 weeks are free.
Yeah.
How's that for incentive? So do we? Are we good to throw up trading post now?
No, let's do it.
Not quite yet.
Yeah, we're ready.
What are we waiting for him for?
So you guys are getting a sneak peek. But we're definitely looking for some feedback.
Hello. So, here's what we've got so far for the trading post. It is, as you can see, a post added to most of the banks across the world. Lovingly designed by Mod Ghost, our artist, which allows you to sell items, offer to sell items, or search for items other people are selling. So, for the moment, I'm going to set up something to sell. As you see, I'm in fact already selling quite a few things. Apparently I'm selling 2 billion raw cod for 1 coin each. It's amazing what you come up with when you're testing this stuff. And some tuna. Let's cancel that one and maybe put in a slightly more sensible offer. Cancel that to give me back my lava rune. It's clearing. Good. Okay, so I'm going to offer to sell 500 of my finest chaos runes for 15k each, because I can. And nobody's going to argue because there's only me logged in. Okay, so that's now being offered. Now here's my other account wandering around here. This one's called Happy Dev because sometimes we need cheering up. And here you can search the trading post for whatever he likes. Chaos runes. And oh, yep, there is somebody selling it. Odd Mod Ash, apparently.
Sounds like a scammer.
Maybe I lure people. So apparently this Odd Mod Ash is selling 500 Chaos Runes for 15k each. It gives you the total price if you want it. And I can send them messages. And useful things like that. It says how long ago the offer was put online as well and what world the player's on. You can filter it so that it doesn't show people on other worlds, and you can tell it to prioritise the cheapest offers when there's more than 100 that it could list. And if you think that the offers may have updated while you were waiting, you can hit refresh. So this other guy, oh yeah, he's got a message from somebody saying they want his runes. So yeah, we can arrange to meet, and in due course we do indeed meet. So let's trade, and here we are. So here's an updated version of the trade screen. As you see, items that you're offering normally go in the place where they've always been and work as they have always done. I can also offer the things that I've got in the trading post with a little tooltip to tell me what they are and how much I was advertising them for. Got a lot of cod here. And the other player can see what I've got. He can see my cod as well, all of it. Right, so I was interested in the runes, and I'll give him a free apple with it. This other guy, he hasn't actually got any money, certainly hasn't got 7.5 million. I know what, we'll just give him a dragon bone, they're nice. Okay, so we'll accept that on here and accept that on here. And as usual, we've got cooking apples, chaos runes, and dragon bones going back and forth, shown on both players. We accept, trade complete. So this guy now has 500 chaos runes plus one he had earlier, and an apple. And I have dragon bones. I don't have dragon bones. That's the basics of it. So there's a few slightly unexpected features that you may have been wondering about. So let's see if anyone's selling raw cod. Yeah, yes. Odd Mod Ash is selling raw cod. That's me. In fact, what good that is. Let's remove him from my friends list for the moment and search the trading post for that cod. Raw cod. So I've got the option of adding them as a friend so I can send messages, or joining their chat channel so that I can talk to them that way. Or if I think this guy's twonk, I don't want to buy anything off him, I don't want to see his offers, I can ignore him and his offer's gone. But it can come back again. So if somebody's being a bit spammy, you just don't want to see offers from them anymore, then you've got that option. Along as usual, we get to see if somebody's had a previous display name. Mood Ash, I must have had a reason. And yeah, like I say, I can add them as a friend. Little green icon to indicate they are now my friend, and send messages of whatever nature. So, few questions about this. Firstly, why is it not the Grand Exchange? And that's a good question. After all, for many people, the Grand Exchange is very useful. For other people, the Grand Exchange is one of the things that made old school not be old school anymore. So, back in poll 20, when we were offering this in the first place, we asked people, do you want to be able to list your sell offers? Do you want to be able to trade through the trading post? Do you want it to work while you're offline for offline trading? And I had a look at the results again recently. It was a fairly close thing. Lots of people want there to be a trading post to advertise their trades. There was a lot less support for being able to trade through it. It was close though, a few more percent it would have passed. Nevertheless, it didn't, so for the moment, we're giving you what you voted for, where you can't trade through it, but it helps you meet up so you can trade in person. As for offline trading, there was a lot less support for that. Offline trading itself came in like the 60% area, and the option for trading with people who've been offline for more than 6 hours, that got under 50%. So for all people saying everyone wants a Grand Exchange, the poll results really suggest that there's a lot about a Grand Exchange that people don't want. So for the moment, no, we're not about to just turn it into a Grand Exchange, not from the poll results we've seen so far anyway. However, we are totally up for adding more features. Like anything we've released, like Bounty Hunter for example, we're very happy to run more polls in future, adding more features to it. Personally, I think that the ability to trade through it is going to be a very likely thing to pass, so we'll almost certainly be polling that after launch. Also, I'd like to add to it the ability to trade items as sets of items, so you can put your cannon into a big box and sell the whole thing at once. I think that'd be quite useful. Might not actually do the work myself. John's quite keen to have a go, so I'll be delighted to let him do all the work for me. Yeah, I think that's a trading post. If the guys... Thank you, Chris. If the guys in control of this thing could perhaps blank my screen, we'll head back to the sofa.
All right. It was a very informative demonstration. Well done.
I see you were watching.
If they have any feedback / questions, where can they forward them to?
Well, I'm available on Twitter, as many of them know.
Yep.
Simply tweeting me over and over again saying, why is it not a Grand Exchange, isn't necessarily going to turn it into one. Like I say, you did have the chance to vote for that kind of thing and it didn't even get 50% for some of those features. But we will be offering more things after launch. And, yep, I'm available on Twitter. So is John, who's going to be testing it. And we also keep an eye on the forums to see what ideas you got there. Where if you can't fit your idea into 140 characters, you can always tweet us a link to the thread.
There you go. All right, so if you have any feedback, guys, any questions, go ahead and tweet at ModAsh and John C. Aside from that, let's hop back into the questions. Yep. All right. So this one's from #TheBull, and he's asking for the ability to adjust sound more. Right now, the first dot after mute is still very loud, and surprisingly, we got a few of these today.
The first what after mute?
The first little tick. So you have muted, then you have like slightly quiet, then progressively more loud, apparently.
Yeah, it is that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Ian could give us a few more gradation on it.
All right.
Updating the interface to be a proper slider rather than the current clicky thing that looks like a slider.
Yeah.
A bit more work, but we can do it.
Okay. Yeah, I think people are somewhat surprised, actually, after watching this streams, that the RuneScape music is actually pretty good to listen to in the background. So people are giving it more of a go, which is nice to see. All right, so next question. This one's from Mr. Jackson Jack, and he's asking, will roamable bosses still be a thing in the new continent?
What, sorry?
Roamable bosses. Roaming bosses.
We did talk about having an area where just there's big bosses roaming around and you go fight them there.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of respects, the wilderness bosses are just that. I think they're the only ones which are really that. I can't think of any other boss which is
not
considered a
hugely
roaming
roaming
boss.
though, are they? That's the thing.
No, they're not. They're more specific to their area. But they are on the mainland, which is unusual for bosses because they're usually secluded into their own little cave somewhere.
Chaos Alley is the closest thing we've got.
Actually,
that
yeah,
roams.
Chaos Alley. Again, it's
It's got a
wilderness.
huge roam range.
Yeah, it's very annoying sometimes.
I'm not a huge fan of mainland bosses, largely because or if you're walking through there accidentally, you don't know where you're going, which is likely to be the case, especially with a new continent the very first time it's launched. You aren't really going to know where you're going, or where you are, or what's around the next corner.
They don't have to be aggressive bosses, of course.
No, they don't, but then what's a boss that isn't aggressive?
Just someone who's big and hard to kill that doesn't want to fight anybody.
Just really intimidating.
Yeah.
The concept of it, I'm not against. I can do things like that. We already have done things like that, especially with the Wilderness bosses and Chaos Alley that are there currently. Every boss that I have planned or have thought about is more specific to an area. There's a theme behind it and a storyline to support it being there.
That can also be very important when you're developing a boss, because if people can lead it into a place where it's much easier to kill, maybe it will become too easy to kill. So sometimes we put a boss in an arena because that way we can control the environment around it.
That's what I tend to try and do. If we've built the environment, we can then set the scene for that boss. We can make that boss do what we want it to do and not what it shouldn't do, which is some of the problems we've had with things like Venenatis, where people have lured it to weird areas, largely because we put it on the mainland, and because we can't control that mainland and we didn't build that mainland around Venenatis, it started doing things we didn't expect. So if we've built a cave for it and everything there is what we intended it to be, then we can control the environment, we can control the fight much easier. But I can do roaming bosses. I hadn't planned on any, but it is still early days and development hasn't yet gone full swing ahead. Yeah. So that can be something that changes.
Right.
Venenatis was even harder because we wanted people to drag it from the single area into multi before they could fight it properly. In fact, we went to a lot of trouble to make that be the case. But that meant it had to be quite a long way from where it spawned, and that meant it could be led all over the shop.
It's almost an art form at that point. I mean,
yes.
if I'm fighting a boss and I want to bring it over to some guy who's wood cutting 100 steps that way, I could just have it kill him.
Yeah, why should Jane want to have all the fun luring in the wilderness?
Yeah, solid idea. All right. So next question, this one's from V Climax, and he's asking for the consideration of a rework on the Dark Beasts drop table to have them compete with the Skeletal Wyverns drop table.
Yeah, I have to poll it, but I'm happy to buff up Dark Beasts a little bit. Wouldn't go too overboard on them because they're they have a much higher requirement than Skeletal Wyverns, but they're a lot easier to kill, and they're constantly aggressive, so they're quite AFK. Just click on a prayer pot.
All right.
But yeah, happy to increase them a bit. They haven't got the greatest drop table.
Do you think the Skeletal Wyverns, whatever you want to call them, will ever have a nerf in the future?
Probably not, unless there's a huge demand for it. I mean, we were discussing this, well, me, Ronan, I think you as well, discussing it last week.
Yeah.
And we decided that it wasn't the most demanded thing. It was just a couple of people.
Yep. And
it is quite rewarding, but again, you have to really pay attention. They're quite difficult to kill, and they're quite out of the way as well. It's not something that's right next to a bank that you can farm. So
that's true.
Do you need to have done an Elemental Workshop to get the shield to survive them?
Yes. Or you can buy a Dragonfire shield.
Yes.
Yep.
But you can't be assigned them unless you've done that quest, though.
I don't see too much wrong with them. I think it's nice people are getting back into PVMing.
Well, at least they're clickable now.
Decent hourly rate there of profits. Nice. All right. So this one's from Secrets 2RS. Will we ever see anything like Rune Labs in old school RuneScape?
It's quite possible. I mean, the way we're going to work with Rune Labs is it's launching in RS3 first, and then we'll see how it goes there, and then we may put it in if we think it's going to work, or if you guys think it's going to work. It is a possibility.
Sorry, can we get a brief description?
Oh, Rune Labs, yeah, okay. You guys might not know what it is, because you probably don't. So Rune Labs for RS3 is, you have ideas, you put them into this system, what's called Rune Labs. Players will then vote on which ideas they like the most. It will then push the best ideas to the top, and then they get looked at by a JMod to see whether they're feasible, whether they work, and then they get polled to the players, and that's why it's going to work for RS3. The whole idea of us being, I mean, particularly for us and for Ronan in particular, being able to see what ideas are popular on our forums is a wonderful thing, and we want to use Rune Labs, and if it all works as it should do, then we will use a similar mechanic at some point in the future. How and when that will work, but we will want to do something similar.
Yeah, all right. Solid way to demonstrate whether either it's just one person feeling very strongly about something or a lot of people.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It's a great way to tell that. So
yeah,
it'd be nice to
bump
see.
your thread 896 times in 7 weeks.
Nice.
Alrighty then. This one's from Food Energy Junior. Can we get any sneak peeks at the Achievement Diary rewards?
Devlog next week, I think. I'm waiting for Ronan to tell me I'm wrong, and he hasn't. So yeah, next week you'll have a devlog discussing the rewards. Watch out for it.
Alrighty then.
Big questions just come up, Chris.
What's that?
Where is Mod Ash's tea?
Yeah.
Where's Modash's
Yeah,
tea?
I was in a hurry.
That's a good question.
I was setting up the test servers so that we could do that demo of the trading post and didn't have time to get tea.
It hasn't died, his teacup, so
More
it's still around.
importantly, why
Not-
haven't you coughed in the last like 5 Q&As?
Well,
I think I'm making up for that for him right now.
for what it's worth, Jagex has this kind of company benefit where they get us all flu jabs at this time of year. It's great.
Except for Dan.
Didn't work for me. I'm really, really ill.
Did you get the flu jab?
And I didn't know.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
It didn't work for you because he didn't take it.
No.
Yeah, I'm not taking it either. All right, next question. This one's from Yak City. Will there be any new music tracks made to accompany the new continent?
I have to turn to Ash for that because Ash is our musician, naturally.
Well, apart from that, we did have a chat with Mod Bond from the audio team, and he was quite keen to help in any way he can. Obviously, his time is not his to offer necessarily, because he's got a lot of his work for other departments of Jagex to do. But if we can get anything out of him that's properly professional standard, that will be rather nice.
Yeah.
But I do have a few things I'd be up for contributing.
Also, I haven't said this yet, which always puts people in a state of panic when I say this. I was
boy.
chatting to somebody the other day, and he's given me the phone number for the head of music technology at one of the local universities, and said give them a call because they'd be quite interested in getting some of their students to help us make the music, because then they can actually get something on their CV to say I've made music tracks for. So that
That's
might
cool.
be a
Yes,
How do they
possibility as
feel
well.
working in MIDI?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they're
I
probably
did-
used to it because it's not unusual to have to. The thing they need is our sound banks so that what they hear at their computer is what we're going to hear from coming out the RuneScape client. And frankly, I'd like that myself. So I think it's not uncommon for people to work in MIDI because, well, it's so accessible. They
Right
just
then.
need our sound bank, which might be a problem because Jagex licensed that sound bank with some fairly strict terms and conditions. And I'm willing to bet that giving it out to people on the internet was not one of them.
Yeah, so it could well be, but we can look at that and see what we have, and if we can get that sound bank out, then there's no reason why we can't make it as public as possible, and you guys can make it in MIDI as well.
And then if you could send us MIDI files that sound right in the RuneScape client, then we can completely outsource the music.
Cool.
So,
I'm quite content with the music tracks we have for the background of just walking around Lumbridge or anything like that. But it would be cool if there are new bosses or anything like that with
Yeah, I
new
mean,
boss soundtracks.
Well, we do have, I think you've written 12 or so new tracks.
I honestly can't remember, but Scorpius Cave's got one.
Yeah.
There
There's an
was-
extra one in Clan Wars just to pad it out because the Clan Wars track was getting a bit samey after a
Yeah.
few years.
I think you wrote a couple for Neve's Slay Legend as
I
well.
wrote, there's 3 in Neve's Passage, 4 possibly.
And you're planning a couple for our super secret project that they'll hear about tomorrow.
Ooh,
a super secret
Might
project.
be.
all right.
Might
Next
Or the not
question.
so secret Snake Boss project.
Oh yeah,
Not so
yeah,
secret
yeah,
Snake Boss.
yeah,
For that
that's
matter, there's
right.
always the music I wrote for the Love Story quest when I wrote that back in 2009. I did the music as well.
Do we want to go any further into the Snake Boss this stream, or save it?
We can mention it. There'll be a devlog up tomorrow detailing what we've got initially designed for the solo boss, the Snake Boss, to come out next year. And we're going to need all your feedback to help balance it because we've got a lot of new rewards going with it. And what you guys think about it's going to be important. So look out for that tomorrow. We'll tweet about it and look out for the homepage and on Reddit, etc.
I like that. When you say super secret project, you mean the thing that Gareth was drawing on the live stream the other week?
Yeah.
It's also not very
Super
often we
secret
have
project,
any
but anything but
super
secret.
secret projects either.
I wanted to sound cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
There was that one you did with the mammoths.
We do have a super secret project. In fact, you don't even know about it yet. That's how secret it is. Yeah.
Okay,
Is
so
this-
let's
I'll
get
tell you
back to
later.
the questions.
Is this like,
He's
like
got
to
a
slow me
secret.
down?
Yeah, I'll tell
Come
you
on.
later.
This one's from Eamon Raymond. He's asking if there are any current plans on reviving the javelins and throwing axes, as they're quite useless at the moment.
We don't have any existing plans, but if they've got any ideas, we'll
Yeah.
happily take them on board.
What were we
Very
talking
cool
about the other
idea.
day, which mentioned throwing axes and javelins? I remember there was a conversation we were having where they were brought up. Yeah, right now I can't think of what
remember
it
for
was.
the life of me what it would be.
No, they weren't the topic, but they were brought up in conversation. But I can't remember what it was.
We might have been speculating about poison.
That could have been
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That
big
could have been
poison.
it.
They're using
Um,
darts.
I would like to do something with those though, because like you say, they are quite redundant really these
Yeah.
days.
I think
Can
like
you
8,
imagine if you could throw an axe at a tree and get logs at a distance or something? Okay,
That's a bit.
maybe not.
I mean, the
you
only thing I
can-
can think of is some sort of target practice with javelins and sort of sporty game type thing.
What if you could
Things,
fish
but-
with them? Harpoons. There you go.
What,
Guaranteed
javelins?
10 catches per... No, it's a
Looks
bad
like throwing
idea.
axes at fish.
You lob a javelin
I was
into the
saying the
water and
javelin,
a
it's
shark
like a
kind
harpoon.
of jumps.
I think
you
in
could use a
February-
javelin with rope attached to it for a better chance to get a rare shark head or something.
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
But in February, we were talking about doing we were trying to work out what to do with mammoths because we had the model, and before we put them in the wilderness, we're talking about a high-level hunter update where you hunt them with javelins or something.
Yeah, no, you'd have to force them back against the wall with javelins.
And
Drop
then,
bolts on
and a
them.
giant boulder fell off on them. Yeah,
Which is how they used to hunt mammoths back in the day. So
yeah, we actually googled that and everything. That's fact.
it is. That's our education for the day.
So this one's from the Man Among Men, and he's asking for the possibility to change it so that farming patches' growth cycles aren't interrupted by logging in/out.
Fancy a complete farming rewrite?
I would do it if you were okay with what unexpected changes might happen to the XP rates in places that will be affected that we're not going to be able to predict. So if the players are up for a major rewrite with potentially unknown effects, I'm up for coding it. I think it would be a good thing to do because it would make farming a lot more regular than it has been. But where there's tricks like this particular fruit tree patch always goes, others don't, those tricks may not apply anymore, and we would not be able to try and recreate them afterwards necessarily.
It would become completely linear in across times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a few requested farming updates, I guess.
Well, I'm up for it.
Interesting.
The farming timer code is complicated. The guy who wrote it showed me it before he left the company and was never seen again. I've sent a couple of mathematicians through it before, and they were a bit puzzled by it as well.
They seem to be very for that idea. So yeah, I wasn't sure there were so many people that were so into farming.
I love farming. It's a great
that's
skill.
cool.
It's quite a nice skill.
It's the fastest skill in the game.
I think it was originally designed so that people wouldn't be logged in all the time. They could do their farming patches and then log out and do something else for a bit, so they wouldn't have to be constantly in RuneScape to be training their skill. And it would be
Sadly,
a legitimate thing.
if you log in and out too much, things never grow.
Yeah.
Kind of ironic.
Alrighty then. So should we do a couple more questions, then finish off with another demonstration, or do you want to head over now?
Have we got another demonstration?
What are we demoing?
Were we going back to the trading post at the end or no?
No?
That's
Okay.
what it was.
All right.
No.
That's the
What
point.
you saw, that's all you get.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Nothing else to show them.
I can show them it in a different bank or take them on a tour of various banks and show them where I've put it, but I don't think they like it very much.
Alrighty then. I think we'll probably have something on the trading post up on YouTube relatively soon, probably by tomorrow anyway.
Yeah.
So if you did miss it, just check back on the YouTube channel tomorrow. But let's go to the next question. This one's from Coning Noob, and he's asking for Co-op Slayer to be a thing.
We'd be up for that. Now, we polled Co-op Slayer roughly as it was from other RuneScape earlier this year, and it didn't pass. I don't recall how close it was.
It's about
60-something.
67%, I think.
Why would that not pass? Who's voting against that?
Well, there were concerns about what the XP would do or what
Yeah.
the XP wouldn't
Okay,
do.
that makes sense.
So what we thought, and what we in fact said at RuneFest, was we came up with a new idea for how it could work, where you'd be able to just share your Slayer task with a friend and do half of it each. Your friend, of course, would have to not have a Slayer task at the time, but would be able to get some of yours, and then you just go and train together on that Slayer task.
Yeah.
And that way you'd be able to take a friend off to do some co-op Slayer, but it wouldn't be the thing that was voted down before.
Well, there are certain tasks in specific that I know would definitely be more preferred as a duo,
Yeah,
like the Smoke Devil boss or anything like that. So
Yes, anything where we've got a boss in there, it would make
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
yeah,
The one
definitely.
thing which would be actually a really good thing for you to do would be to go through the RuneFest video and
Yep.
cut it down into shorter sections on each subject and get that onto YouTube as well, because I think then players can actually look back at what we did at RuneFest, and rather than having to watch the whole hour that we were on,
Fair enough.
we can actually cut it down into the specific things.
Well, the new
Focus on
stuff, there's no point mentioning Corp now.
that. Except for the corpse stuff, you don't have to worry
Although
about
that could be an outtakes bit.
Actually, it could be.
All right, then. Relatively quick question here. This one's from Anthony Probert, and he's asking for a bank all option on deposit boxes.
Sure.
That'll be nice.
Is that easy
We'll
or?
build the interface, yeah.
We
Not
have
as
to
easy
convert
as
the
it
interface into
I
newer
agree.
formats before we can edit it at all, but that's not going to take very long.
Yeah.
It's a small interface.
Pretty easy. There you go.
We
Next
do
question.
want all worn items to worry about it.
This isn't so much a question. He's asking for a skill cape rework. Having the ability, this is just an idea of his, having the ability to merge the accumulator with the ranged cape, magic cape, maybe every 10th cast saves you the runes,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Skill Cape
capes.
improvement project. There was a thread on Reddit a few months ago, and it had like ideas for like 5 or 6 skill capes. I've been trying to fill them out and do the rest, and just going to pack it in with like the max cape, maybe 200 mil capes as well for sometime next year. I really love the idea of like the accumulator being part of the range cape, that kind of thing.
Cool, because I like that idea too.
Like the farming cape, like
Yeah.
5% more yield from
Yeah.
herbs or something.
And we really want to make sort of the skill capes worth wearing. Which
Yes,
is, you know,
especially
what wants
relating
happen.
to those
For
skills
me,
as
they're
well.
always a vanity item. I thought if we were going to make an improvement, we'd add the hoods to them. People want to be able to put the hoods down, put the hoods up, like you.
Do that as well.
Make the hoods useful.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea.
You have to,
RS3 did it not long back, and that went down very, very well. Because I consider them more a vanity item than I do an item that gives you specific bonuses. Because it does give you the one extra level for about 10 seconds after you wear it. But
Yeah.
It's funny, the developer was trying to get the effect where you have that hook cape on and your level is always one higher than it would otherwise have been. Now, at the time, he'd have had trouble implementing a thing like that. But I bet we could if we tried.
Okay. Could if we tried.
and there's not a whole point of being 100 crafting.
no,
well,
not really.
there's that.
Yeah.
But we thought it would look nice on the screen. Mind you, he was trying to do the same thing with the secateurs, make it as if your farming level was 10 higher than, or
Right.
1 higher. And again, couldn't be done at the time, but
It-
I bet we could if we tried.
Probably fix that.
It might get tricky with something like hit points as well. I'd imagine that would be like what being brewed up, and then what happens when you brew? You get dangerous,
Probably more.
up to like 130 HP or something like that.
Well, no, you're already at 100 out of 99, so it wouldn't be that much of an increase.
Oh, we were talking like I'm talking like a 10% increase or something like that. But
I didn't
yeah.
do that.
No, we'd have to be careful with balancing,
Okay.
of course, for everything.
Yeah, that'd be
League of
tricky.
Combat capes would be the difficult ones.
All right, next question. Let's actually read this one. This is the idea of having additional portals in your house, such as the Moon Clan portal.
We'd have to build a new room because we haven't got any space on the hotspots.
Correct. But we're totally up for building
Yeah.
a new room, and also there's a few other things that people would like to be able to mount on the walls, other tele jewellery, which would go nicely if we added more rooms.
That would be nice.
We
Yeah.
hoped to do a lot of this stuff as a big construction batch. However, when we put that in the priority poll, it didn't get very much support, so we haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe revisit it next year because I'd love a load of stuff to be done for POH as well.
Cool. Haven't seen much done to construction in the last while.
Well, we completely rebuilt the entire skill for menageries.
Yeah, menageries, we just added a new kind of room, but to do it, I rewrote quite a lot of the code, which meant that we could get the loading time down from about 20 seconds down to about 4, which is a fairly decent construction update in a sense, but I would like to do some more features as well.
Cool. All right, this one's from Javi Ayers, and he's asking for mage armor drop from God Wars. At first I was like, but then I'm thinking this kind of makes sense. He thinks there's bandos for melee, armadillo for range, but there's nothing for mage.
Starve the Dead.
The problem is really that magic, there isn't an awful lot that requires you to use magic for combat. So I think we
It's-
can give you the best magic gear, but then where are you really going to do magic for?
It's not so much that it's not useful because there's PKing for a start, but what would they
Yes.
like it to do? I mean, Arims is level 70 tier stuff. God Wars is typically 65. I mean, we could go above for the sake
Right.
of argument, but Arims is worth next to nothing, 500k for a set. You know, magic attack bonus isn't hard to come by these days, so we'd have to give it something quite powerful in terms of usefulness, like maybe if you're wearing a full set of call them subjugation robes, because that's what Krill got at some point, like you could 10% damage boost or something. You know, is that too high? Is it not enough?
Would a prayer boost be an option there?
But yeah, you can slap prayer bonuses all over the place.
All right.
But yeah, and because of what Dan said, there's not a whole lot of demand for magic armor.
It's an interesting idea, though. Let's see. This one's asking for some quality of life updates for the Ectofuntus. Maybe a crush all option, just something to speed it up. Is it something you do manually, one by one, right?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah.
On this date, I think so.
That's painful.
I remember there being some weird update where after it, you clicked on the Ectofuntus and it said, the Bone Grinder has been updated. Would you like to use this mode or that mode? What if I clicked on here? We could try and recreate that, only with slightly less peculiar messaging.
All right, I think we're going to finish off with this one. So this is from 121RS. Can you increase the amount of buckets the Tool Leprechaun can hold? It currently holds 250 compost and only 31 buckets.
Oh, isn't that
More farming.
I imagine it's still the old style interface, would need converting to be able to do it. Mind you, I did that for the other RuneScape as well, so I can convert ours. It wasn't a quick job, but I can. I think it's on the wish list already for a future poll, actually, or we just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. It's like a medium-sized job.
Yeah, I call it small by today's standards.
Okay.
Again, they were just taking on a continent.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we'll have to redefine large.
That's the beauty of the continent. You can do anything.
Yes.
Yes, you can have leprechauns with bigger bucket capacities.
Make of that what you like. I imagine the first question that's going to come up is when can we see the trading post? I've seen it mentioned a few times.
Yeah.
Seeing as you worked on it, would you like to answer it?
I reckon we're still a couple of weeks away. Sorry, but it's getting there.
That's a lot more precise than sometime in 2015, though. So
Yeah, we're
I
looking
think they're
at
happy with
mid-December.
Yeah.
that. Mid-December for the
Ish.
trading post, guys. There you go.
Okay.
So get your feedback in quick. Any more trading post questions? Do we know?
There was one from earlier, wasn't there? Does your, I'm trying to remember what it was, does your trade disappear automatically off the trading post when you sell it?
Yes.
There you go, answers that one.
And one from Charlie the Fourth, or whatever that name's meant to be pronounced on the chat. At the moment, the version we've got does not let you sell a few of the items that are on the trading post and leave the others back up there to be offered. I'd like to try and build that in, but there is the question of the trade screen. If we're going to have that kind of feature, we're going to need a bit more space on the screen to show it, which means that the trade screen is going to have to change its appearance a bit more radically than it has done so far. If people are okay with us redesigning the trade screen and making it look different, then we can try and build in that feature. But it would be more of an update than people were necessarily expecting.
I think they can't really complain saying, oh, RS3, because this is not, obviously RS3 has never seen anything like this, so I wouldn't object to that personally.
That makes
That should
sense.
be fine. All right.
Uff Glenn, he says, will there be specific themed trading world? I think we should.
There is.
I
thought
think
there
there's
was one.
3.
Do we call them trading worlds on the
I believe
theme
so,
screen?
on the tooltips, yeah.
There we go, we'll keep them there then.
Trade
so World
members.
3.
Yeah.
And it doesn't display your location, obviously. You have to PM the person you want to buy the stuff from. So maybe, I'm assuming it's going to be something like West Varrock World 3.
Oh, we can,
Or
maybe we
Falador.
can, yeah,
Would
maybe
probably
we can
be the
have
spot.
themed area worlds, so we can have World 1 as Varrock trading, World 2 as Falador trading.
I believe that's exactly what they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to stick a
If that's what they are, then
Yeah.
great minds think
I'd like
alike
to
on
stick a
stuff.
post in Falador Park, to be honest.
Ooh.
Well, we're allowing you to trade in Falador Park, aren't we? We spoke about that earlier.
Yes, if
Allowing you
we...
to trade in Falador Park straight from the trading post.
Yeah, let's do that.
Big old good old days.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Would you like to bring back the Falador Park trading days?
Well, if we enable it for Varrock as well as Falador, then they'll stay in Varrock. But
Right.
if we enable it for just Falador and not Varrock, then that would be really annoying for them.
Should we disable all trading in Varrock? In fact, maybe we ought to
It's like a
straw
straw
poll
poll.
it. Should we disable all trading in Varrock?
For
Thanks,
Falador
Ronan.
Park.
Well, I did
I don't
suggest at one point that if you click the trade option on somebody in Varrock, it teleports you both to Falador.
I don't think the nostalgia is that. Wow, it's a lot of yeses.
But I think a lot of people have that strong nostalgia. I think because I would have loved to have had trading in Falador Park from the get-go, really.
I'm just glad we didn't have it during the Falador massacre that day.
You know, I have said quite a few times early in the day is that I'd like to write something which forces everyone in Falador or everyone in Valk to follow me, and I forcibly walk them to Falador.
Yep.
And they can't stop, they can't log out, they can't escape until they get to Falador. So I move everybody to Falador.
So I'm dying, buying anti-poison. You say, I'll sell you one, just walk with me to Falador Park real quick.
I go in there on my mod and I force you to follow me,
Okay,
and then I walk you to Falador.
and then I die
So
halfway
hopefully move
there.
everybody there.
Fair
Need a
enough.
video of that.
This escalated quickly.
So what
Talked
is it
about it
we're
over the day.
voting on again?
They're voting on whether we should. Yeah, there we go.
Not bad. Is that passing? 70.
Should we disable all trading in Varrock? There we go.
Wow.
76%. That's
Just
a
wow.
passing poll right there.
I don't feel so bad about that trading post being hard to find in the other bank now.
Well, I mean, should we call this a binding poll? I don't know.
I'm inclined to say no.
By our poll,
think you might be
by
right.
our poll standards, we are currently passing.
74 now.
So could we expect?
74.9.
Could we
Round it
expect
up.
to see the Falador trading on an actual poll in the near future? Or?
I don't think we could really enforce it, which is the problem.
No.
I
Yeah.
think, however, launching the trading post, we can make the thing work in Falador Park
Yep.
as part of the trading post's basic behaviour and do that for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really have to force them to go there. If they want to, they can go there.
No,
Yeah,
just make it a
absolutely.
place where they are able to do things that they could otherwise only do in a bank.
All right.
Can we remove shields on the portals and pest control to speed up the minigame?
No, it sped up the minigame.
They were put
Yeah,
there
so
for a
that's what I was
reason.
thinking as well.
But I do believe on the next poll we're offering to make combat experience full XP rather than half XP, which
I like that.
increases your XP per hour a little bit. I can't remember if that's on the next one or not.
Can't remember seeing it.
I saw it on the list for future polls.
Yeah, it must be on the wish list somewhere. But
Yeah.
at some point we will poll that.
For what it's worth, back in the day when there were no shields on those portals, I do remember that, yeah, it's popular, but also we got forums for the people complaining about how pest control was overpowered and how it needed nerfing. and how the game was filling up with PC products who've got high combat but never done any real combat, because they've got the whole thing by just running into pest control for 30 seconds.
Good days.
Indeed. So that was the talk of the day, and bringing it back again isn't necessarily a great move. So I think the shields might have to stay, but we can do other things like John described to make the minigame a bit more rewarding for the time.
Yeah, a minigame shouldn't be the best experience, especially for combat.
Yeah.
Yes, especially as an alternative.
Absolutely, absolutely. Somebody asked about double XP weekends.
This again.
Yes, yeah, we probably ought to do it.
You straw polled it 2 weeks ago. It
Was
like
that
50-50
intentional?
or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we probably won't be doing double XP weekends because
I've been holding
the
back
community
coffee.
don't like them.
Well, they bring up double XP weekends again. I think they've earned it.
Alrighty then. Let's go to this question. It says, can you add an NPC to convert armor into sets?
Yeah, well, you covered that when you're talking to the trading posts. I'll plug something into the trading post itself where you can use the set for the most obvious ones would be the cannon, barrows.
Cool.
Any others that I can think of, but I don't want to oversaturate the game with sets of ruin, etc.
Right. I like that idea.
Using them on the trading post itself would be most convenient, because otherwise you have to have an extra NPC walking around every bank just there to have stuff used on them
Right.
to turn into sets, which would be a little inconvenient, especially in the smaller banks.
Yeah, if things are traded more as sets than individual pieces like barrows and the cannon, then nothing else is coming to mind right now, unfortunately. But yeah, if there's anything else like that, let me know, and I'll create a set for those too.
Cool. We about finished then, or we have more questions to go through?
Can you add a feature to fire making that allows you to burn farming patches to remove the skill from your account?
Ooh.
That
That's what it
didn't go
says.
where I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
No, because we have no way of removing skill from people's accounts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We've asked for one, and if we ever get it, then we can start looking at ways of allowing it. Although that's not one I'd go with
No,
necessarily.
no.
Mining.
And we can let you set fire to your weeds or something. That could be funny.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I can imagine the
I like
videos that will
that.
be created because of that. Yeah, yeah, that will go down well.
Set your crops on fire if they die.
Yeah.
That's how you get rid of them.
And then you'd have to pick up the ash and put it into a pot and so on. Yeah, I can see where this is
For
going.
what it's worth, there are some plants where people set fire to the forest occasionally to, change the ecosystem a bit. And we could have a farming patch where you grow something that has to be burned rather than chopped down.
That's actually a really cool idea.
I remember in
like
this
that.
country when you were allowed to burn fields, and it was. I
Do
was
you?
very young at the time. Yeah, this was a long time ago.
Okay.
Public
This
fields.
was public fields. You could drive down the A47 towards Leicester, and you would have fields either side on fire, and it was very surreal. I could only have been 5 or 6 at the time, so it's 30 something years ago.
Oh, I love a good bonfire, but we have to do them on our own land. We can't just walk down the park and set a sofa on fire.
Yes, no, you can't quite do that. But no, this was
Some
people
hold.
would clear their fields by burning them, but obviously they're not allowed to do it anymore after
I can't imagine why.
obviously a bad thing. You know. Anyway, that's complete nothing to do with work at all. Yes. Any more questions?
Now
The-
talking about a blazing skill.
Rogue armor is useless. Make it good.
what would you like it to do?
Make
Easy
it
to-
visible in PvP areas.
It's invisible
That
in
would be
PvP areas.
amazing.
How about not invisible, but just removes the white dot off the minimap?
Oh yeah.
So we have that
you're,
functionality now, I think.
you're kind of
No,
camouflage.
we've got the functionality to make them invisible.
No, we've got hides from the minimap for Clan Wars Rooming Ops.
I thought that makes them completely invisible.
Oh, does it have to do both?
It was kind of bundled. We could ask for it, although I know that any third-party client might decide to show the dot anyway if they didn't feel like respecting what we'd asked
That's
for.
true.
True.
That would be kind of cool though, hiding in the bushes and popping out.
Well, I think the Mithril tree back in Classic was a tree, so the Mithril seed, it grew a tree rather than flowers back in Classic, so that you could kind of disguise yourself as a tree and pop out of it.
That could be a skill. Definitely. Some Hunger Games stuff right there.
Growing trees.
Yeah.
I think we've got a skill like that already.
Yeah, it does ring a bell. I'm sure I've grown a tree in RuneScape at some
Yeah,
point.
I think.
I got rid of it because I
Oh
started
no, I
setting fire
didn't
to
grow
my
a tree
patches.
because I gave somebody else some things to grow it for me.
All right, I can think of a question that I didn't decide to write down. There was an option for churn all, fletch all, and something else all, just to make those skills quicker.
We can do those things, however, it needs plugging into each situation in each skill individually, which makes it quite a large job.
Right.
And if we were to do it, that would be a fairly significant change to how people train those skills, perhaps. Not one that I'd lose too much sleep over, but if it failed a poll, I'd understand why.
Would it eventually turn into, well, now I want X all for this or anything like that? Like, just get out of hand?
Well, if they were going to ask for it for churning, then I see no reason why they wouldn't ask for it for everything else. They've been
Right.
asking it for smithing too. In 2010 or thereabouts, we rewrote all the MakeX interfaces so that it was make all by default and you just clicked on the thing to start it running. We could do that. In fact, we could make it a smoother interface than we had in 2010 because our engine's been changed in different ways. But that may not be what people want done to the old school game.
Yeah, I was seeing mixed feedback with that. Some yeses, some nos.
I
Easier
will
skilling.
file that one down as we could if they wanted it.
Cool. I think we're about run out of time, haven't we?
Sure.
Well, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the trading post stuff.
Yes.
Tweet me if you did. Tweet him if you didn't.
Well, you're the
And,
one's got to make the changes.
I
so-
know.
Yeah.
And we'll
So
have
we've got-
more on the Snake Boss next stream, correct?
Yes, I think Snake Boss will be modelling it. Gareth will be joining us to model the Snake Boss. And,
Yeah, look out
unless
for-
we change our minds again, of course.
So a really exciting week next week, guys. Be sure to tune back in.
Yeah. Devblog, I don't know what I pointed at you for, but Devblog tomorrow about stuff.
Yep, Snake Boss and its drops. We've got some what we think are quite exciting rewards for it.
Very exciting
So,
rewards.
Yeah,
Very good.
please read it, give us your feedback,
Yeah.
and
That's
yeah.
about it, I think.
we'll
Yeah.
see you next week then.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ta.
See ya.